Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to another installment of ISV Connect Live. It is my honor and pleasure to have two fantastic gentlemen from VeriPark, Wim and André. Before I make an introduction to you, some housekeeping items for the day. So again, I'm Brian Galicia. I lead our global ISV BizApps business. I'm based here in beautiful Seattle, Washington. It's a gorgeous Monday. I hope for any watchers who may be mothers or are a mother figure to someone, happy post or belated Mother's Day. Hope everyone had a great weekend. So during this event, feel free to, in the LinkedIn window, you can actually make a comment. We would love to hear and see maybe where people are watching from. So if you're watching from, let's say, Belgium, or you're watching from the UK, or you're maybe watching from South America or Canada or somewhere in the US, we would love to have you just put a comment in there. It gives us an opportunity to see where people are watching from, as well as either utilize one of the icons below. If there's something that's resonating with the conversation, just do a like or a support or celebration, because we'd love to ensure that this content remains relevant. So that being said, we're going to go ahead and get started, and we're going to kick off and do, again, introductions on behalf of Wim and André. So welcome, Wim and André from VeriPark. Thanks for making the time to join us today.
Thanks for having us. Shall I start?
Yeah, great. Yeah, so Wim, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do at VeriPark, and then, of course, the customary question I ask all my guests is, what's one thing that doesn't exist on your LinkedIn profile that you'd like to share with the people watching?
All right. So Brian, thanks for having us. So I'm from VeriPark. My name is Wim Geukens. I'm based in Brussels, in Belgium. I'm the managing director for VeriPark Europe, which I founded together with Oskan, the CEO from VeriPark, some 4 years ago. While the group of VeriPark exists for 22 years in total, we started the business in Europe 4 years ago. Next to my managing director role in Europe, I'm also having two other hats. One is leading the team of marketing worldwide, and the other one is partnering and alliance management worldwide, in which I have André. So he will also introduce himself after me. But so let me think about what is not on LinkedIn. It's always a good question. So I did a bit of digging around during the weekend, and I came to find these manuals. I don't know if it's visible like this.
Yep, you can see it. Yeah.
So a long time ago, it was starting in 2003 with Dynamics 1.0, which was only available in English, only US English. And so we made it to today, where now everything is cloud and everything is multi-language. And yeah, I think at the moment we started investing in Dynamics, there was nobody was believing in it. Let's say it was really something nobody knew, that Microsoft was also going business solutions. No, Microsoft was IT, tech. So yeah, that was the thing that I don't think you will find on LinkedIn, but it's I was one of the first certified people in CRM 1.0.
No, thanks, Wim. We should actually get a scan of that, because that's probably a collector's item. The fact that
it is.
Yeah, so it's impressive that you stayed that long. I mean, I'm dating myself too, because I joined Microsoft back in 2006. And during the pre-show, we were talking about that. It's like, gosh, we were at Dynamics 3.0 at the time, Dynamics CRM 3.0 at the time. And gosh, that journey that we've all experienced, and particularly you, because you were 3 years before me, starting the very beginning of time in the 1.0 days, especially with the integration with Outlook and how that's evolved and experience. So thanks for sharing, Wim. So André, we'll go to you. Give a little background of yourself, and what's one thing that doesn't exist on your LinkedIn profile that you'd like to share with the people watching?
Sure, Brian. Thank you. So actually, I joined VeriPark about 1 year ago, just before the lockdown started. So very interesting time to be in. And I'm strategic alliance director. So with my team, we manage all relationship alliances that we have with, on the one hand, of course, Microsoft, but on the other hand, also with system integrators and third-party vendors, like a few ones that we'll be discussing also later on today during the show probably. So that's what I do at VeriPark with my team. But before that, well, actually, I started about also 21, 22 years ago in the IT. So when VeriPark was born, and I did work for different ISVs, for system integrators, for distribution partner like Ingram Micro as well, for Compaq and HP as well, but also 10 years for Microsoft. So I have the privilege to know the Microsoft ecosystem from various angles, and so I can of course benefit from that today by helping VeriPark to navigate across the Microsoft world. And that's, of course, a pleasure to be back in that Microsoft world from the other side of the fence, managing those relationships with you and with Pat and all the people behind that great partnership. And what you will not probably find on my LinkedIn profile, that's the fact that between the age of 6 and 16, well, I used to be a chess player. And so it all started during a vacation, a very rainy vacation. You know, Belgium is known for rainy vacations. And so my father said, well, there is nothing else to do. So he bought, a chessboard, and we started to play chess. And well, I liked it. And then I joined the club. And actually, when I was 16, I was also ranked 16th player in Belgium back then in my category of age. So it's I mean, it doesn't mean much, to be honest, but still, with the Queen's Gambit on Netflix today, many people know chess again, and so that was a pleasure. So yeah, I'm triggered to start playing chess again. So if there are some good chess players in the attendance, well, let's maybe have a chat, and let's maybe have a virtual game together.
Yeah, so André, that is amazing because again, both you and Wim sharing the points of view as we've done this show since the beginning of the calendar year. It's been amazing just getting the background. But yeah, I'm a chess player as well. I was never ranked. I just enjoy playing chess, and my kids as well, because also my kids are Harry Potter fans. And so if you've ever watched Harry Potter, the whole wizard's chess, same concept. But yeah, next time, well, when the pandemic ends and I do get an opportunity to fly back to Europe, I'll definitely have to call you up and say, when we have dinner or something, you have to bring a chessboard so that you and I, and see how quickly you can beat me, because you probably can beat me super quick.
Be my guest, but my longest game was 6.5 hours, so it can take time. So
geez, well, 6 hours. I don't know if we have 6 hours to play, but anyway, thank you so much, André. That's great. So let's start with you. Of course, I know what VeriPark does, and of course, for those who saw the title, Banking Reimagined, and VeriPark is such a great partner of Microsoft in this financial services space. So why don't you give a little bit of background to the people watching, maybe who've never heard of VeriPark before? What does VeriPark do, and what are some of the joint outcomes Microsoft and VeriPark solve together in our financial services customers that we talk to?
Sure, of course. Well, some keywords that you might always want to remember when thinking about VeriPark, that's on the one hand, that's FSI, so the financial world, and mainly the banking world. So what we do it in the dynamic space. That's a second keyword, so Dynamics 365 CE. And so everything we do as a global ISV, that's to develop some software that we build on top of Dynamics 365 CE and on top of Microsoft Azure and also on top of Power Platform. So it started 22 years ago, to reinstate it, and as of day one, we have been doing that. So when you think about FSI, when you think about CRM, and if you work at Microsoft or if you are in the Microsoft ecosystem and Microsoft fan, the name of VeriPark should not be very far from there, because this is really about focus. And so everything we do it in FSI. So when you look at other partners that you have, other ISVs that you have, some of them are also active in the financial world, but not exclusively in the financial world usually. And at VeriPark, well, this is really exclusive and all about focus. So if you talk about banking and insurance business, usually we should be there in that space. And so what we try to do, that's to take the CRM product that you guys have out of the box, and that product is already a great product, of course, Dynamics 365 CE, and it can be used in all types of verticals, all types of sectors. But by adding the VeriPark solutions on top of it, we try to make it, together with you, a state-of-the-art CRM solution for FSI customers, so that we can help those customers to become digital leaders. And this is also the vision of VeriPark, that's to help the FSI customers that we have to become digital leaders. So that's a short summary about VeriPark.
No, thanks, André. And I love it because, again, that huge reinforcement, like you said, is the focus in financial services. That's all you guys do, which is great, because if anyone's listening live or in a replay and you're thinking, gosh, I'm in commercial banking or I'm in insurance, the things that you're going to learn from Andre and Wim today are going to be really valuable to you because, of course, the joint outcomes and these things that you are enhancing in Power Platform, in customer relationship management or customer engagement that we refer to at Microsoft, sales or marketing, etc., and the outcomes that you can drive is fantastic.
Of course, if you are watching as a customer, a potential customer, if you are active in the FSI world, then we could add a few things about what I just said. But to make it very simple, let's say that we do that on top of those technologies, and we divide that in 4 categories. So we have the omni-channel strategy, helping, of course, the customers to manage all different channels, offline and online channels, into one, so that they can communicate with their prospects, as bank or insurance companies, their prospect and customers, through that omni-channel strategy. We also have a product which has been in the lift since COVID started, because this is about the branch offices and how to automate the branch offices of banks. Big questions, because many of them were closed during the lockdown. Then you have the main product as well, which is the CRM extension. So all about upselling, retention, cross-sell. So that's another product that we have also in the ISV Connect program. And the last one is VeriLoan. So all about the loans and origination, digital lending, collection. So those types of things. And so we've been doing that together with you, really hand in hand, for about more than 20 years now. So.
And we truly appreciate that. No, thanks, Andre. We truly appreciate that. But so before we go to you, Wim, and talk about the trends pre and current COVID, let's do a quick shout out a few people. So of course we all know Pat. So Pat, thanks for joining in this morning from sunny Northern California. And then John O'Donnell watching from USA. He is actually from Ohio. And then, of course, to your point, Wim, of the flashing the CRM 1.0 days, like the long-term support of Dynamics. And that's really reinforced with what you guys said of the engagements that you guys have had with us. So back to you, Wim. Let's talk about kind of what's the point of view in financial services today, pre and post, pre and current COVID, because myself, banking locally, of course, I've done everything mostly digitally, but it's amazing the number of times you go to a branch office and they're not accepting people in person. Like you have to do everything over the phone or digitally. And if you do find a branch, it's a very selective branch. It's like all the branches are not open. It's like one specific place where you're handling all the people. So give us your perspective of what maybe you and VeriPark have been doing in the financial service industry with the impact of COVID and the pandemic.
So before COVID hit us, we were already working a lot on digital transformation projects with banks. And some were more advanced as others. Some countries were more cloud-oriented, open to cloud than others. So it depends also on which country you are talking about. And VeriPark does a global approach. We meet banks in all the countries in the world, let's say. So we have quite a good view on what's happening in which country. But then when COVID hit us, some banks realized they were really not up to, they were really not prepared. I'm not going to give you some names, but some banks, they had a limitation of only 100 people could use the network, because if the 3,000 others were using it, it was down and the contact center was not working anymore, etc. So yeah, I can use the reference to Satya Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft. He split it up, this post-COVID reaction, in 3 stages. One is the response phase, then the recovery phase, and then the reimagination phase. So also in our ebook that you can download, we map this 3 steps approach to the banking world. For example, in the response, we now see that banks are pushing more their mobile apps. They probably had them, but they were not yet pushing them. Now they are really forcing you. If you go to the branch for something you could do online, then they will send you back. So they promote their digital channels. They communicate also in a digital way. Instead of sending letters, they now send emails, or they start chatting with you. they start doing digital servicing, digital payments, and they even assist older people in a digital way, because not everybody is ready for all this internet stuff and digital stuff. Then in the recovery, we help to think on reimagining the branch experience. So going to a branch like before and shaking hands and doing things that we are not going to do soon. Yep. Even hip-to-hip banking, what we did pre-COVID, looking at the same screen with the banker, discussing your options. Today is more going to a self-service that you experience in the branch. So you can do more in the branch than you can do at home, and in an assisted channel, like ATM machines with much more options, etc. So creating the branch of the future is more a digital advice hub instead of going there for whatever reason. And then, even VeriPark, with this recovery phase, we don't travel anymore. We had millions we spent on planes. We had more than 100 consultants every day on a plane, visiting prospects, customers, having meetings locally. They're now doing everything from home, like we are doing this session. They also do the same from home. The banks are accepting also that we do projects at a distance. Before, it was not the case. We had to do workshops face-to-face with big meeting rooms with a lot of people traveling. So also VeriPark, we reimagined how the future will be. We also hire people from countries where we don't have an office, because they can work from home. They don't need to go to the office. So also there we reimagined things. And the banks, they are now also shifting to digital first models to boost remote working, like instead of being present in the branch, running the branch from your laptop, let's say. So all these things, technically they're possible. And we are helping a lot of banks being able to do transactions in their CRM screens that they're using from a laptop at home, where they're having team meetings with their customers, doing these digital ways of experiencing a new way of engaging, helping banks like to enable chat-to-chat banking, or where you are talking first to a robot over chat, and then when we use artificial intelligence to see when the need is there to change to a real human being. So all these things are being used in production now. It's no longer something that people talk about, but I think we speeded up for 2 years with this COVID, that people accepted now that the digital revolution is there and they have to jump into it and invest into it. I can go on for a long time about this, but I think this is a bit what's happening now. So technology is helping us to bridge the gap, where we have this touchless digital experience, where we don't want to touch anything, but still we do payments, we do discussions, we do digital onboarding of new customers, completely digital, where we ask them in a video session to show their passport next to their face. The machine learning is doing the mapping to see, is this really Wim or is this somebody else? Everything is speeded up, like lending, digital lending. If you want to have a loan, it's done in minutes. It's no longer weeks or sometimes months. People are also ready for this. They are used to do e-commerce. Everything is delivered at home. Well, they want the bank as well to act in the same way, like with the finger. So.
Yeah, no, thanks, Wim, for that. Yeah, it's all those things you mentioned on the transformation, not just for banks, but just how we interact and the deployments that you're experiencing as well. And I think it's a good apropos. Thanks, John from Salgari. He's the CEO of Salgari. We had him on the show a couple of weeks ago. And of course, your comment about chat and kind of that engagement, you and VeriPark have established a really strong partnership now moving forward on being able to drive that contact center scenario in banks for the future. So thanks, John, for joining. We have Russ from Canada, Saskatchewan, Canada. And that's a place I haven't been to myself in Canada, but the home base for Innovation Credit Union. So thanks, Russ, for listening and joining earlier today. So again, if you have any questions, we have about 10 minutes left in the scenario for people listening, watching live. If you have questions for André and Wim as we're continuing through these questions and dialogues, please don't hesitate to put in the LinkedIn window, and we'll be able to potentially take a few questions before we end the session. So let's talk about a little bit about the experience, André. Of course, you've seen everything. You've been at VeriPark for the past year plus, just before the pandemic hit. What has been the experience been like working with our team, working with Microsoft and the ecosystem? Because you have the benefit of working not just for many ISVs, but also working at Microsoft to understand how everything works. And now you're on the flip side, working with us in collaboration to drive joint success. So what has that been like? And how have you been leveraging the partner-to-partner motion? Because that's one of the things if you're a partner listening to this conversation, that's one of the best things about partnering with Microsoft is not just the selling base, like all the sellers that VeriPark, as an example, have access to, but it's all the partners, like a Solgari as another ISV, but all our software integrators that are doing implementation. So give us a little sense of what's the experience been like from your perspective, André.
Indeed. Well, actually, ISV Connect has been for us something that we believed in since day one. And so we joined ISV Connect, I think, was one of the first partner, maybe even the first partner back then. And so since then, we had many wins together. We have, I think, a very good pipeline together. So it really helped us to build that community with Microsoft, but also with external third-party partners like Solgari you were mentioning. But so if you look at ISV Connect, this is really all about that community aspect and about connecting the dots between the Microsoft sellers active in different regions, being in contact with some of those FSI customers. We're also active in those FSI customers. So let's put those contacts together, and let's make sure that we can build up the story together to show the value that we can bring together to those customers. So ISV Connect is all about that connect part, and this is really a fantastic program to be in. This being said, I hope that going forward, this is going to become even bigger, and that even more Microsoft sellers, even more Microsoft partners are going to join the club, because the more we will be, maybe not the better it will be, but I think that when it's about connecting the dots, well, the more dots you have that you can connect to, the more possibilities you have to do business together. So that's all about that. And connecting, also talking about the P2B, the P2P motion. So we did also establish some great partnerships with other ISVs working with Microsoft. So indeed, we have very specialized partners like Solgari, but we are also working with partners like Adobe, like Sprinkler. So usually, as a rule of thumb, if Microsoft has a solution, we're going to use that solution because we're 100% Microsoft house. So if you guys have it, then we're going to use it. And that's true for artificial intelligence, for machine learning, for voice recognition, all those types of things. If you don't have it, then or we're going to build it ourselves, or we're going to partner with external parties. And there, again, that ISV Connect is great to connect those dots with external partners. So thank you very much for that. And I hope that that program is getting more attention even than what they have today. So going into fiscal 22, hopefully we can do additional business together.
Yeah, no, thanks, André. And I agree. It's like the program itself is still somewhat early in my opinion, because it's only been in place now. When we finish this fiscal year, it's hard to believe we're already at the end of our second fiscal year, but it will only be in place for 2 years in a row. And your point, it continues to grow and trying to refine the value. And I love how you mentioned the emphasize connect, because it is truly, once you're in the program, exposure, having the right dialogues with the right people so that we can really jointly go after financial services conversations together.
Yeah, it's a little bit like the service packs in Windows before. You remember Windows XP, Service Pack 1, Service Pack 2. So, when I was partner account manager back then, the resellers used to tell me, I'm never going to sell the first version. I'll wait for Service Pack 1 or 2. So hopefully it will be the same with ISV Connect.
That's right. That's right. That's a great analogy, Andre. So Wim, tell us a little bit about the joint customer stories of, like, again, we don't have to give names, but what's an example or examples that we've seen, and well, you've seen specifically, of where when someone makes a selection for VeriPark and Microsoft, what are some of those outcomes in a insurance organization or commercial banking or retail banking scenario that you've seen, and outcomes we can drive?
Yeah, so we have customers in all the many countries, over 30 countries. So I'm not gonna name some of them for obvious reasons, but I wanted to zoom into one example. A recent example that we are implementing is Barclaycard in Germany, part of the Barclays group, which is a global account for Microsoft, so a strategic account. So that's where we work together with Microsoft in many ways. Let me first say what they do. So what they do is they combine a CRM project with an implementation of internet banking and mobile banking, all based on Dynamics 365 customer engagements and Azure and the Power Platform. So the big gain, the big win that is in this selection is that they don't have to redevelop all the integrations twice or 3 times. It's a hybrid approach for all the platforms. So you only define it once and you use it many times. So if they want to change something, for example, now they decided that Barclaycard will become Barclays, etc. So changes that they can easily do without big impacts. So the contact center, for example, they can do transactions on the customer's behalf in Dynamic CRM by using these omni-channel techniques of internet banking that we embed into the CRM screens. The flows behind it. For example, we connected to the Amazon Germany e-commerce website the same flow, so that you can pay with your Barclaycard payment methods anything you buy online, and all of that is going through Dynamics through our solution. And also, if you're not yet a customer of Amazon, on Amazon but not from Barclaycard, you can digitally onboard as a new customer, and in minutes you know whether you can have your equal payment plan spread for doing the payments of maybe a big thing that you want to buy through Amazon. So yeah, this is just one of the examples of a very interesting project we are doing with many different countries together, from Barclaycard, based in the US, in the UK, in Germany, but also in India they have people. And the same for VeriPark. We also do this project from 5 different countries. So it's a really international approach that we are able to do.
No, that's great, Wim. And gosh, I can't imagine the complexities of what they were doing before that. And now you streamline that to a kind of what I like to use the term as frictionless experience. Something that to your point, like snap, 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 it just happens, to where you don't have to talk to someone. You just follow the instructions on the screen. And then within minutes, you then have this transaction that's occurring. And then to your point, a payment plan. So it's not all up front. That's amazing. I mean, that type of transformation is exactly what people are expecting. And to your point, the pandemic accelerated that because you couldn't now do that face-to-face with a person. So I know we only have a few minutes left. So let's have you touch, before we get to Andre to wrap us up, talk a little bit, Wim, because of course, for those of you who are watching or listening, you probably heard that Microsoft has a huge focus in industry clouds. And so we announced the financial services industry cloud that will be releasing officially in the second half of this calendar year, or our first half of our new fiscal year coming up. Give us a little bit of your perspective, VeriPark's perspective on the financial services cloud, just for the few minutes we have left, and then we'll go to André to wrap us up.
Well, to be honest, we started 2 years ago to work together with Microsoft on what's called Banking Accelerator at that time, where we already built together with Microsoft a common data model for banking. so that it's not just plain vanilla dynamic CRM database for doing sales, service, and marketing, but you had already the notions of the banking entities in there. And now we see with this FSI Cloud, the new value coming from the platform itself, all three clouds coming all together, delivering more possibilities. And we are working together with Microsoft to build these apps that Microsoft will support. And on top of it, we will modify our existing solutions that we already had before so that they all click together as one puzzle. So that, you can start with just the SKU of FSI Cloud, but you can then easily add new modules, new applications from VeriPark whenever you need them. So it's all fitting nicely together. So we are having bi-weekly meetings with our R&D team and Microsoft product team, making progress. So we are all looking forward to see how retail and corporate banking is going to leverage this by, I think, October this year. It will be GA. So till then, we are still under NDA, so I can't tell too much, but it's really looking promising.
That's great. Well, thanks, Wim. Yeah, because that is a huge effort, and we appreciate the investment of the partnership in that space, because that will make that point of view to our end customers even stronger. So as we wrap up, Andre, why don't you give a little bit of just a point of view of some of the things of if this dialogue that between all of us piqued an interest, especially if someone's in financial services and go, oh, I came across this seems interesting. How would they learn more? What's the best approach? Besides, of course, reaching out to either you or Wim over LinkedIn and sending the connection requests, what are some of the things that you would recommend as kind of next best action as a call to action?
Well, next best action is also a name of a product that we have, so that's a good thing.
I snuck it in there, doing it with financial services, and that's a common thing in financial services. Hey, what's the next action you want a banker to go take? So anyway.
Well, what I would suggest that's of course you can join our club on LinkedIn. So we have about 26,000 followers on LinkedIn. So if you're not following VeriPark yet, of course you can do so, and you will be updated almost on a daily basis about what we do, the new customer cases, and so on. We can also point you out to the ebook that we were mentioning before. So that ebook is available on the VeriPark website, which is also a new website since this calendar year. So please have a look at it, and you will find everything that you want to have, I think. But in that ebook, you will have some very interesting articles about how we see indeed the future of banking. And this is not only our opinion about it, this is also the Microsoft opinion, because we have interviews of some Microsoft leaders in that ebook. And we also have the opinions from some of our customers. So by reading that ebook, you will get the 360 view coming from all different angles. And this is all about banking reimagined. But once again, let's connect the dots together with you, of course, Microsoft, but with the people on the call being partners or being customers or prospects. The door is open. Wim and I are from Belgium, so we can invite you for a good coffee and some good Belgian chocolates, of course, or a beer if you prefer. But hopefully it will not be virtual anymore in some times, but today it's still virtual. So thanks again for the invitation, and hopefully we'll be able to continue the discussion online.
Yeah, no, thanks, Andre. And yeah, I'll definitely take you up on the Belgian chocolates and the beer. That's one of my favorite places when I go to Europe. So Pat was kind enough to put a couple of things in the window. And also, I just want to call out, we compiled all this information like we typically do every week when we have our special guests from our partners. If you just go to aka.ms/LinkedIn Live, May 10, we do that just every week where it's the date of the time we're doing it. And it has a collaboration of all the things that Andre mentioned. Plus, the one thing we also added in that link was the link to all their app source listings. So Andre and Wim touched upon it. There's so much wealth of capabilities that they have listed in our marketplace that if you haven't seen all the capabilities, that's also a great place to get started. So before I wrap it up, just a quick thing. So again, we do this event every Monday at 8 o'clock. Next week, again, Wim kind of touched on it, but we actually have a ISV called Glimpse that has reimagined the commerce and retail experience. And you can imagine, Wim talked about it, especially in the US. I couldn't even imagine the fact that you can order something on your phone, drive up to the store, and someone's literally going to put something from your whatever you bought into your car, into the trunk of your car. No one would have thought that would happen, but the pandemic accelerated that. So we're going to talk a little bit about that next week. So Wim, Andre, thank you so much for allocating time. We appreciate the ongoing partnership with VeriPark. Any closing comments or thoughts before we wrap up the session today?
Wim?
We love doing business with Microsoft. That's my closing thought.
I love it. We do too. We love doing business with VeriPark and our great ISVs. Andre?
Thank you all, really. I mean, Pat, yourself, the whole ISV Connect team, this is a pleasure to work with you every day. And yeah, to see that positivism, that can-do attitude that you all guys have, that's really fantastic. So let's keep up the good work together.
Great. Well, thanks everybody for watching. Have a great week. Continue to be safe, be well, and we'll talk to you a week from now. Take care. Thanks again, Wim. Thanks again, Andre.
Bye-bye, guys.